Tonight on the Vince Dow Show, we got to talk about Chick-fil-A, who is now turned into Chick-fil-Gay. Literally. Also, new controversy surrounds Donald Trump with his Kayleigh McEnany thing, and is he violating the Constitution with his birthright citizenship proposal? And tomorrow is the first day of Pride Month, so we might talk a little bit about that tonight on the Vince Dow Show. Also, to the people who always say, grow a beard, look how stupid it looks. I just was too lazy to shave today. Look how stupid it looks. All right, let's start. And we are live tonight from the great state of Florida. Welcome everyone to the Vince Dow Show. I am your host, the Galaxy Brain himself, Vince Dow. Before we begin, everyone be sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe if you are new, which we gotta talk, guys, okay? I feel like you guys increasingly have been gotten lazier and lazier about liking the stream. You cannot get lazy about liking the stream, okay? Yesterday it was like we started with 11 likes, now we're at 9. Next thing you know, eventually we're gonna start off and there's gonna be like 2 likes on the stream. Leave a like on the stream if you're watching, okay? Get us to 50 likes, ladies and gentlemen. And as usual, if you want to super chat to support the show and you got questions or comments that you want read and answered, feel free to do so. It is greatly appreciated. And, if you can, try to do it on Streamlabs. I have it pinned there in the chat. If you can do it on Streamlabs, that does help us divest from YouTube. They won't stop demonetizing. Every single video I post, I kid you not, they're demonetizing every single one right now. I don't know if we'll get permanently demonetized. So again, if you want to donate separate of YouTube, that would be greatly appreciated. But anyways, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, got a lot to talk about tonight. It is the eve of Pride Month, so let's get into the show. It's the Hour of Dow. Let's get into it tonight. But first, we got to talk about our sponsors tonight over at Noble Gold Investments. And this is very good timing because they're currently, as we speak, voting on the debt ceiling and all that. And as we know, this is a country on the verge of recession. The US dollar is seemingly perpetually on the verge of collapse, which is why you need to protect your retirement today with a Noble Gold Precious Metals IRA from our friends over at Noble Gold. Essentially, what that is a precious metals, it's a retirement account, right? An IRA, but backed by the price of gold and silver instead of your traditional stock portfolios. Why is that a good idea? Well, one, it's good to diversify, but also number 2, right? In times like these, when currency is not stable, you don't know if the stock market is going to be stable. We know as a rule of human history, gold and silver are your time-tested kind of, hyperinflation proof assets. And so be sure to go check that out. Protect your retirement with a gold IRA at VinceDaoGold.com. Again, my affiliate link there is VinceDaoGold.com. Go check out our sponsors tonight at VinceDaoGold.com. All right, with that said, let's get into the show. But really quickly, let me read the 2 super chats we just got. Zachary for $5 says, wrong. If this continues, we're going to start streams with negative likes. This is literally the case, okay? This is literally the case. We're going to start to stream. It's not even a thing on YouTube. But somehow, some way, we're going to figure out a way to start our streams with negative 10 likes. Literally the case. And Daniel, thank you for the $5. God bless you. Daniel McQuaid for $6.99 Canadian says, great segment from Michael Knowles on his show today about how the problems we have are the conclusions of liberalism. We love Michael Knowles. Thank you for the $6.99 Canadian, Daniel McQuaid. I have not seen it. Maybe we got to check it out. Maybe I got to go watch it. All right. Appreciate it, guys. Again, you want to super chat to support the show and to support the podcast studio we are building. It is greatly appreciated. Well, all right. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our first story here tonight. Let me hit record. Boom, record. Okay. So, we hate to see it, but Chick-fil-A is now the next target of the we pissed off conservatives corporate list, and that one kind of hits personally because, But, so the news is that they've hired a new officer of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they put out this whole statement about it, saying, one of our core values at Chick-fil-A Inc. is we are better together. When we combine our unique backgrounds and experiences, blah, 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 blah. And then it goes on to say, Chick-fil-A Incorporated's commitment to better together means embedding diversity, equity, and inclusion into everything we do. To achieve this, we focus on whatever this thing is, and that's what we're all mad about them over. They've hired a VP of diversity, equity, and inclusion and put out this whole cringe post about it. Now, here's what I will say about it in all honesty. Is this cringe? Yes. Should you, if you feel so, and I encourage it, should you go and boycott Chick-fil-A at least temporarily for this? Yes. Are they betraying, their own base? And by the way, you think about it, liberals will never stop calling Chick-fil-A homophobic, and all this virtue signaling is only going to piss off the majority of people who like Chick-fil-A, which I know liberals do like it, but majority wears it. It's like conservative leaning people, at least in the South, right? It's a Southern food chain, so I don't know, you hate to see it. But here's what I will say in all, just to put this a little bit into perspective, and here's what about the Chick-fil-A situation I want some people to understand, is as much as you want to look at it and say that's cringe that they hired a diversity, equity, inclusion officer, which it is. We've been talking about this a lot on the channel, and I want to use this as an opportunity to bring it up again. This is going to be the natural byproduct of the ESG thing, right? This whole environmental, woke, social credit score that we've been talking about. And that's what people here, I think, need to recognize. Yes, we should boycott. Yes, we should do everything in our power to say we don't like corporations doing this. But at the same time, understand this, right? In the world of ESG, in the world when it is BlackRock, it is, this social credit score thing completely controlling the market instead of, your basic common sense principles of capitalism. Ultimately, all of this stuff is going to take over the corporations, if you understand that, right? Ultimately, we are headed to the point where every single corporation you see basically is mandated to have a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer. Who knows? The Democrats, Joe Biden, might even make that official civil rights law. And so what I'm trying to get at here is not to say don't get mad at Chick-fil-A or leave Chick-fil-A alone, because I definitely think we should put the pressure on, and we need to be putting the pressure on all of these woke companies. But as I said the other week, and I will reiterate here once again, it is not enough to simply boycott the woke corporations. It's not. Why? Because again, we are reaching a point in this country where the basic market principle of, hey, people don't like your product, we're not going to buy it, is no longer going to apply. I read an article in preparation for this segment talking about how BlackRock, we know about BlackRock, that very evil company, how BlackRock has bought huge shares, not in Chick-fil-A yet, so that was one, but it was talking about how they've bought up all these different shares in like IHOP and all these other different restaurants, and they said, we're doing this for the purpose of advocating for, the liberal terminology, right? Better social and environmental and blah, 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 all that type of policy. Understand what I'm getting at here? I hope you kind of can discern what I'm trying to say, which is that unless the Republican Party, again, I have said it's not enough to just have a market solution to this. Unless the Republican Party steps in and bans all forms of ESG and all sort of offshoots of it, all DEI scores, all of that stuff, there will be no social credit score in which corporations benefit from being woke. And unless we really ought to do something too about firms like BlackRock, unless we trust bust or whatever it is, unless we go after BlackRock, which I would argue that them buying up so many shares of different corporations is trust action, right? It is monopolization. But yeah, unless the Republican Party steps in and says, we are going to stop BlackRock from doing this, we're going to basically break it apart as a company or whatever. This is what I need people to understand here. The woke corporation thing, long term, is not going to end. And that's what's really happening here, in my opinion, is yes, we as conservatives are obviously doing a very good job of putting the pressure on. You heard Kohl's, if you look at their stock price today, it's tanked. Target lost like $9 million. Bud Light is basically dead on arrival. I don't think they're ever coming back. But understand, we're at the position right now, right? Where because we're at the transition point where ESG has not taken over everything, BlackRock has not taken over everything, we can still do this. We can still put the pressure on. But again, unless the Republican Party steps in and says, we are going to go after the specific policies that encourage and to an extent basically mandate corporations to be woke, basically mandate that a corporation like Chick-fil-A has to hire a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer, then in the end, right, it's going to be meaningless. Because let's say Target loses $9 billion. You know what's going to happen? BlackRock is going to come in and say, don't worry, because you advocated for our social agenda. George Soros, whoever it is, right, will come in and say, don't worry, we got you. Here's $10 billion. Keep pushing the woke. Keep grooming the children. Understand how that works, right? And, you know, I've said this before, but I think my concern right now, my only concern, it's very good that all the boycotts are working, but my only concern about the fact that it's going so well is that it seems to me the Republican Party has totally stopped talking at all about political solutions, because they're just looking at the base and saying, well, look, the base is doing a good job. Look at them. They're boycotting and stuff. It's all good. We don't have to worry. And that's the only discussion in the conservative movement right now, is about how you need to boycott. You need to boycott. I hear very little conversation, literally besides, except from this channel, right, of us really going out there and saying, yes, boycott, 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 but there are specific underlying policies that are causing these corporations to go woke, and the Republican Party needs to do something about it. And notice how that conversation has stopped now that we're being successful. That's my concern, is complacency, right? Because a few months ago, the House GOP actually did try to pass a ban on ESG. Remember that? Ron DeSantis, it was a big thing. He, I think, borderlined or did try to get rid of it in his state. But now that we're winning this boycott battle, all of a sudden we expect our Republican politicians, we think that we don't have to do it anymore. No, now is more important than ever. Now that the woke corporation issue is first and foremost, like at the forefront of everything, again, we need to ban ESG. We need to ban the DEI scores. We need to get rid of BlackRock, do something about it. Get rid of all of the social pressure on sort of a policy level that, again, is causing, these companies to do this, right? Because if not, there's going to be a million more Chick-fil-A's out there. If not, I mean, I would argue this is basically already the borderline policy. Like, it is not yet written into civil rights law. But I was actually, to a degree, surprised that Chick-fil-A does not already have a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer, right? Because it just seems to me that this is corporate policy. And again, you wonder why corporate policy has gotten so, quote-unquote, woke in the past few years. That is the reason why. Republicans, you need to do something to stop it and to counter it. And don't get complacent just because we're winning the boycotts. Because like I will keep saying, boycotts, very good. It shows that we as conservatives care. It puts pressure. It buys us time. But it, in the long run, is not going to be the only answer. And frankly, there is something completely elitist and wrong with a Republican Party constantly telling the base, boycott, boycott, boycott. But they themselves are doing nothing to back us up. So that's what needs to happen. So there's Chick-fil-A, ladies and gentlemen. We will move on here now to the Trump stories here in a second. But let me check if we got any super chats. Let's see. Super chat of the night. Let's go. A friendly medic for $5 says Chick-fil-A turned gay because they saw Beanly beaning it up while eating their food. Thank you for the $5, a friendly medic. Yeah, sources confirm this is real. This is real, right? He is their largest shareholder when you think about it. You know, we talk about BlackRock. They keep buying all the companies. Well, you think about it. He orders so much from there that he basically owns the company at this point. So, yeah, that is absolutely true. And everyone's going to be like, what does that even mean? Don't worry about it. It's between me and Friendly Medic, okay? Thank you for the $5. Appreciate it. All right, with that said, let's continue on. Thanks for the super chats, guys. Let's continue on here. We got to talk a little bit about Donald Trump tonight. And there's a little bit of drama, okay? So a lot of people out there I see are not particularly happy with the guy at the moment for certain things. They say, is he causing too much drama? He's doing too much of this or that. Well, let's just talk about it, okay? So we got two things to talk about on the Donald Trump docket tonight. First is this beef with Kayleigh McEnany that I don't even think is the biggest deal, honestly, but we'll talk about it. We'll address it. And secondly, we got to talk about his plan to ban automatic birthright citizenship for illegal immigrants. A lot of people are saying this is against the Constitution. We'll address that. But first, let's start with Kayleigh McEnany here. So, here it is. So Donald Trump, I believe yesterday, put out a statement on Truth Social attacking his former press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany. And let me read it first and we'll explain the context here. Kayleigh Milquetoast McEnany just gave out wrong poll numbers on Fox News. I am 34 points up on DeSanctimonious, not 25. While 25 is great, it's not 34. She knew the number was corrected upwards by the group that did the poll. The rhinos and globalists can have her. Fox News should only use real stars. All right. So understandably, as I have seen, a lot of people are really mad at Donald Trump for this. They're like, how dare you throw Kayleigh McEnany under the bus, all this stuff. And here's what I'll say about it, okay? I don't have anything against Kayleigh McEnany. I guess I still like her. I'm still fine with her or whatever. But it should be pointed out, as a matter of fact, she's been saying a lot of positive things about DeSantis in recent months, and she's, like Donald Trump implies, been very milquetoast on the issue of Donald Trump. And, just understand that's where the attacks are coming from. Now, you could say that perhaps Donald Trump needs to be bigger than that, and it is, hey, listen, but we also know that's just how Donald Trump is. That's how he's always been. Point being, here's what I'm going to try to get at here. I don't really think this is the biggest deal. Like, it's one comment on Truth Social. Maybe should he have said it? Probably. I guess not. I don't know. I know a lot of conservatives are just not happy, saying this was not the way. Everyone is like, concern trolling all over Twitter about this. And I mean, yeah, on one hand, the way I see it, I don't know if Kayleigh McEnany is necessarily the biggest fish to fry, right? I don't know if it's like the prime target. But again, I will point out, this is not out of nowhere. This is not out of left field. Kayleigh McEnany, if you watch on Fox News and stuff, has been very milquetoast and kind of favorable to an extent to DeSantis. I don't know if she's even endorsed him directly, but again, been very favorable to DeSantis. And my thing there is like, okay, I get it. You have your own right to your own opinion. But to some degree, I also have to understand why Donald Trump feels a little bit betrayed, because Donald Trump is the guy who made her career, right? Donald Trump's the guy who... The only reason we know who Kayleigh McEnany is because, first of all, she was press secretary of his political team, and then obviously, as we all know her for, right, press secretary of the White House. And that's where she made her claim to fame. And then now here she is out here, won't really endorse Trump, very milquetoast on the issue. It is what it is. She's entitled to her opinion, whatever. Again, I'm not necessarily saying I think that Donald Trump should even waste time on someone like Kayleigh McEnany, nor do I personally despise her by any means. But all I'm trying to get at here is I just feel like the majority of conservative Twitter have been completely overreacting to this. This is totally unhinged. He's lost his mind, this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's... You know what it reminds me a lot of? Some of the behavior I see, and it just feels like every time Donald Trump does something these days, in one way or another, this just will tend to happen from certain crowds. It just reminds me of how, like, liberals and Democrats were during 2019. Like, everything he did, Trump derangement syndrome. I can't believe he did this. Oh, no. It's like... Is it really a big deal? Could you argue maybe he just shouldn't have said anything? Fine, I guess, whatever. But does it really matter? Is it that consequential? It's one Truth Social post in the grand scheme of things. I don't think it's a means to freak out. I'm not looking at this like, oh, can't believe Donald Trump did this, blah, blah, blah. So I would say to the people who think this is such a big deal and are just hammering this home, like, to a degree, get a life. It's not that big of a deal. It really isn't. It really isn't. And by the way, people act like he was so brutal to her here, right? He could have said a lot more. We've heard Donald Trump levy certain attacks against people. He certainly could have said a lot worse than this. It's just like, oh, she's milquetoast or whatever, which, as a matter of fact, on the issue of Trump DeSantis, she arguably is, right? Again, not really like taking a side. I don't hate the woman or anything. I'm just pointing out. I just think in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal. It's not really something to be so ridiculously pissed about. Okay, but that is the Donald Trump, Kayleigh McEnany thing. In better news regarding Donald Trump, we have to talk about this. So he also announced yesterday that he now wants to have an executive order on day one that would ban birthright citizenship automatically for illegal immigrants. Okay, and what we're basically talking about here is if you ever heard of it, the anchor baby phenomenon, right? What people will very often do is they'll come to the United States illegally, or they'll come here on a tourist visa, right? They'll say they're here for vacation, overstay the visa, and they'll give birth to their child in the United States. Reason why? It's called an anchor baby, right? Because as we are currently applying the law, that grants automatic U.S. citizenship. It is the number one abuse of this immigration system, I think, that currently exists today. It's part of the reason we have such a problem in our country is people keep abusing the system, doing this anchor baby thing. And Donald Trump, thankfully, we love to see it, is planning to scrap birthright U.S. citizenship for illegal immigrants, okay? Now, what we have to point out, though, is we have to debunk and fact check the big lie around this, which is this violates the 14th Amendment, right? Because we say, though, the 14th Amendment of the Constitution includes birthright citizenship. As you see from this headline right here, even the journalists themselves are saying this revokes a right enshrined in the 14th Amendment during anti-immigrant tirade on social media. And let's address that, okay? Let's do a little fact check here tonight so that way we can be 100% clear. Birthright citizenship, quote unquote, is not a guaranteed aspect of the 14th Amendment, at least not for illegal immigrants, okay? So listen up, kids. Share this with anyone who doesn't know or has misconceptions about all of this. Birthright citizenship does not and never has applied to illegal immigrants and foreign nationals, and that is simply a misinterpretation of our own laws in this country that our government has allowed that to happen. And, you know, we can go back to a lot of different evidence for this, but there's a Heritage Foundation article I'm basically going to read from that explains it. Because not only when you look at the original debates and the original congressional discussion during the 14th Amendment, you know, getting ratified and all that in Congress, this was literally discussed. And the adopters of the 14th Amendment said, no, listen, to clarify, this does not apply to foreign nationals. And there are a number of Supreme Court cases throughout the 1800s and I believe the 1900s that also back this up. And so this is from the Heritage Foundation article called Birthright Citizenship, a Fundamental Misunderstanding of the 14th Amendment. We will provide you here these receipts. So, all right, so first and foremost, the history of the 14th Amendment. First of all, Senator Leemum Trumbull, a key figure in the adoption of the 14th Amendment, specifically said, so this is like, you know, we want to talk about originalism. This was what Congress was talking about at the time they were passing it. He said that, quote, the clause in the 14th Amendment that says subject to the jurisdiction of the United States includes not owing allegiance to any other country. In other words, if you are a foreign national, you are not protected with the birthright citizenship thing by the 14th Amendment. And you want to say, oh, but that's just Congress. Who cares? Well, how do you know, right? It's still, maybe they miswrote it. Well, let's look at the Supreme Court record on this very issue. So, again, this is from Heritage Foundation, the information here. In the famous slaughterhouse cases of 1872, the Supreme Court stated that this qualifying phrase, again, subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, which people have interpreted to mean, oh, if you're born in the United States, that means you have birthright citizenship. No. The Supreme Court stated that this was intended to, quote, exclude children of ministers, consuls, and citizens or subjects of foreign states born within the United States. You need to read that one more time. This is from the U.S. Supreme Court in 1872, interpreting the 14th Amendment. It does not include children of ministers, consuls, and this is the big one, citizens or subjects of foreign states who are born within the United States. This was confirmed in 1884 in another case of Elk versus Wilkins, when citizenship was denied to an American Indian because he was, quote, owed immediate allegiance to his tribe and not the United States. That is even more interesting, right? Even at the time of the ratification of the 14th Amendment, it was understood that this did not even apply to the Native Americans themselves. And we continue here. American Indians and their children did not become citizens until Congress passed the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924. There would have been no need, and this is true, there would have been no need to pass such legislation if the 14th Amendment extended citizenship to every person born in America, no matter the circumstances of their birth and no matter who their parents are. But as we see from a very basic reading of the history of this amendment and the history of the United States, yeah, just because you're born in the United States does not mean you're granted birthright citizenship, okay? And so all the journalists who are running with this as a statement of fact, saying this is protected by the 14th Amendment, you're wrong. And frankly, like, I don't know, someone should demand a retraction there. But anyways, even in U.S. versus Wong Kim, kidding. In the 1898 case, most often cited by birthright supporters due to its overbroad language, the court only held that a child born of lawful permanent residence was a U.S. citizen. That is, okay, you got that? 1898. Supreme Court says that only a child born of lawful permanent residence was a U.S. citizen. Okay, so yes, if you're here on like a long-term visa, right, you're a permanent resident, then if your kid is born here, then they're a citizen. And that's like, it is what it is. Like that, I guess, makes sense, right? But if you are an illegal immigrant, even the case that they often bring up, that doesn't apply there. And especially if you're just here on a tourist visa, if you're just here let's vacation in the United States and have an anchor baby, yeah, you're not granted U.S. citizenship according to the precedent of the Supreme Court regarding the 14th Amendment, okay? So, blah, 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 blah. The court's interpretation of the 14th Amendment as extending to the children of legal non-citizens is incorrect. And even under that holding, citizenship was not extended to the children of illegal aliens, only permanent legal residents. It is just plain wrong to claim that children born of parents temporarily in the country as students or tourists are automatically U.S. citizens. They do not meet the 14th Amendment's jurisdictional allegiance obligations. They are, in fact, subject to the political jurisdiction and allegiance of the country of their parents. So true, I 100% agree. And the same applies to the children of illegal aliens, because children born in the United States to foreign citizens are citizens of their parents' home country. So there it is, right? And you may be wondering, okay, so where are we getting the idea that illegal immigrants have the right to, birthright citizenship? Hey, you just come in this country and you have a baby, you're allowed to be here, you're a citizen, right? Where does that policy come from? Is it anywhere enshrined? Did Congress ever pass anything? Is there another constitutional amendment? No. All that comes from is a State Department interpretation of the statute of the 14th Amendment, because the State Department is the one that's like freaking giving stuff out, right? That's all it is. The State Department very randomly somewhere along the way decided that actually we think the 14th Amendment means children of illegal immigrants. Courts never once have ruled that to be the case. And it would be very hard for them, even for a super liberal court, because the history of, the rulings on this are so black and white. And Congress certainly has never passed a law specifying, okay, illegal immigrants can now do this. There's just some undemocratic, unjudicial State Department policy for the last few decades that has just allowed this to be the case. And all that Donald Trump has come along to say is that, hey, we're not going to do this anymore. That's all that's happening here. And, he's 100% right to do so. We understand the practical reasons. We understand why the system is so heavily abused. But now you know, before people call that unconstitutional, this or that. Honestly, if the 14th Amendment did say that, I'd probably still say it was pretty stupid, but that's not even the case. That's not true at all. Okay, so there is the 14th Amendment story. I think it's a good idea by Donald Trump. I think every conservative should 100% say the same thing here. And oh, by the way, I'll get to super chats in a second. Speaking of Donald Trump, one more thing is tomorrow night, he's going to be doing a town hall with Sean Hannity at 9 p.m. Eastern time, I believe. So we're going to figure out a way to stream it, okay? So I'm thinking, because I don't know, like copyright Fox News. Maybe I think it'd be safe if we take it down. So here's what we'll probably do. I think tomorrow we're going to start streaming at 9 o'clock tomorrow, hour late. We're going to live react to the town hall. I'm going to take that down just to be safe with copyright. And then at like 10 o'clock or whatever, we'll do a regular show, breaking it down, talking about the news. And so we'll go for like 2 hours. But that is the plan as of tomorrow, okay? Just letting you know. We'll in some ways be around for the Trump town hall, okay? Just so you guys know. But anyways, all right, let's get caught up here on super chats, guys. JD for $2 says H-1B visas and H-1B and student visa abuses are to get green cards are common. Oh, they're incredibly common. Yeah, they're incredibly common. And this is the thing, we so often say it's okay if they're here on H-1B visas, and yet if you kind of research that, they're very often abused to kind of screw over the country as well. So that's so true. Thank you for the $2, JD. JD goes on further to say for another $2, how does a country of 350 million plus people lack talent? Well, that is the thing, right? That's the thing. If we are so often told, oh, well, we need these foreign workers because Americans don't know how to do the jobs. Okay, number one, that's not usually the case. The real reason they usually bring in the foreign workers is not because they're more competent. Very often, they're actually less competent, okay, especially in the tech world. That's not what it's about at all. The reason they bring over these foreign workers is because they are cheaper. Okay, that's the biggest thing. They're cheaper. They'll take less pay. They'll accept a lower quality of life. So number one, I think that's wrong. The premise of that's wrong. It's not true that like American workers don't know what they're doing. They do. It's just they demand too high a quality of life because that's so evil, right? But then secondly, I would say even if that were true, even if that were the case, it's still not really an excuse, because then why are we as a country not using the education system to make people smarter, right? Or make people competent for these jobs? We have more people going to college now than we ever have. We are subsidizing thousands and thousands of dollars and making students take out these predatory loans to go to college and forcing everyone to do that. And yet somehow you mean to tell me we're a country full of people that are nobody's competent enough to get the stuff done, to work these jobs? Again, with a record number of people going to college, we can't find people to fill skilled labor. Something is off there. And I think instead of saying we need more immigration because of that, no, I think if that's the case, then we need to, figure it out. We need to figure out why our education system is so broken, but you can't do that because that would be, I don't know, racist or something, whatever they say. Okay, Daniel McQuaid for $6.99 Canadian. Thank you very much. Daniel McQuaid says, if you have time and would like to react to it, I think the section of Michael's show I was talking about is at 16:16 to 21:22. Remind me on the next members block, Daniel. We'll react to it on the next members block, which probably won't be tonight because I have some stuff to get done before midnight. But we will do a members block soon. So thank you for the $6.99 Canadian. I appreciate it. Again, guys, you want to super chat to support the show. It is greatly appreciated. Your show, we're not with any network or anything, so our show is obviously funded by your donation, so it is greatly appreciated. Anything you guys can do. Let me check Streamlabs here. We got one donation here.
Sheeny Beanie donated $5. It didn't even apply to the American Indians because they were under the jurisdiction of the tribal law. We literally had to write a new law to include American Indians.
Yeah.
Illegals are under the jurisdiction of wherever they came from.
Yeah, that's the thing. We didn't even view Native Americans as being protected by the jurisdiction of the 14th Amendment with birthright citizenship, as I said. Thank you, Joanna, for reading the super chat, by the way. But yeah, apparently now, just according to the State Department, the courts have never ruled this. Congress never said this. Apparently, if you're an anchor baby, you're granted U.S. citizenship. It's ridiculous. It's a total abuse of the system. All right, JD for $2 says schools should teach STEM instead of CRT and LGBT. Thank you for the $2, JD. But that's the problem. The STEM of the future they're going to teach is going to be LGBT STEM, right? Hey, the scientist said that, actually, like, two-spirit thing is real. So yeah, thank you for the $2. Thanks for the super chats, guys. All right, we're going to go on to our last, I wouldn't even call this a story. I just want to talk about it here of the night. And then we'll do Q&A super chats for the rest of it. So you want to get them in now so that way everything is lined up for the Q&A portion. It's all greatly appreciated. Any questions you guys got for me, super chats are open. And anything you want read or answered on the show, as usual, we do our Q&A portion at the end. But one last thing we got to talk about here, and you knew it was coming. What is that on the screen? You knew it was. By the way, what is this? Look at this. I was just finding B-roll for this story, and this is the most interesting stock footage I've ever seen. Look at this. So they're all dancing. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of you guys remember the DNC in 2020? Remember when they did like the Zoom call and they were all singing or whatever? Was that the DNC? Something like that. Or was it like during COVID? Remember the celebrities? That's what this reminds me of. Okay, anyways, interesting B-roll. All right, anyways, you guys know what's coming, okay? To conclude the show here tonight, tomorrow, June 1st, as we know, is the first day of Pride Month. And we know what's gonna come. No, this and that. Corporations virtue signaling. Insane marches showing insane stuff to children out in these streets. I do want to ask a question to get a head out of it, though. This is what I want to say here on the first day of Pride Month. I want to pose a question, which is, why should Pride Month exist in the first place? Which honestly, I don't think it should. And I'll tell you why here in the segment in a second. Because, I know what a lot of conservatives will say on the first day of Pride Month is, look at all these corporations virtue signaling. Look at all this cringe stuff. I don't mind it, but, or now this is the new conservative talking point, right? LGB is okay, but why do we have the T, blah, 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 this and that, all these different, compromises. And I suppose when you consider how much we've lost on this issue as a society, I understand why people are saying that, but I will go out and say no. Why do we celebrate Pride Month in the first place? And that's to say, why do we celebrate the one class of people in society whose sexual relations cannot further the human species in any regard? Okay, because we know this, right? If all of society... So, Jover. This is Brandon84. This is... historic. Okay, we're back. Daniel McQuaid for 279 Canadian says, Pride is the queen of vices and the vice of queens. Thank you for the 279 Canadian. Yeah, I don't know what that was. OBS just crashed on me. It just decided it wanted to be Jover. It has never been more Jover than it is right now. There's never been more Jover. Okay. All right, we're back. All right, should we just restart that? It's going to be so awkward when I try to clip it. Okay, let's, in a concise manner, just redo that. Okay. All right. Tomorrow or today, whenever you are watching this, is the first day of Pride Month. And as usual, I think we know what to expect. Corporate virtue signaling, the marches in streets where disgusting things are shown to children, all of that type of stuff. But in response to Pride Month itself, I want to pose a very simple question that I think a lot of conservatives very often are sort of scared to ask, because what you will hear from a lot of conservatives on this day is, hey, why do so many, Pride Month isn't really about gay rights, it's really about corporate virtue signaling. Or the new conservative talking point I've been hearing, why do we celebrate LGBT? It should just be LGB. The T is not, it's like, okay. And listen, I understand, because we have lost so much in this culture war, I understand why people may honestly feel that way, but I will kind of, I guess, take it back or take it further, whatever you want to say. My question on Pride Month is, why does Pride Month exist to begin with? Why is it a thing that should be existed? Why is the quote-unquote LGBT something that should be celebrated at the forefront of society for an entire month, or frankly, honestly, celebrated at all? What do I mean by that? Well, my question is, and the reason I'm bringing this up is, I'm really asking here, why do we as a society celebrate the only class of people whose sexual relations and sexual attraction cannot further the human species in any regard? And why do we pretend like, of all things, of all different people in society, that is what is deserving of like the most important month of the year? And what I mean by that is, just think about it. If 100% of society were gay, humanity would be extinct. On the flip side, if 100% of humanity were straight, we would be just fine. And yet, we sit here and pretend as if one not only is quote-unquote equal in value, in worth, in just sort of merit to the other, but we actually pretend that one is more deserving of celebration than the other. We say that the people who, either sodomize or whatever lesbians do or whatever, right? We say that is what is deserving of a whole month of celebration in this country. Again, the very class of people whose sexual relations actually basically contribute, right, nothing to society. Sodomy does not contribute anything to society. Neither does the other thing, right? And you might say, but Vince, what about people who are having straight sex with condoms or whatever? Well, I'm not proposing either to celebrate that. What I'm proposing is that perhaps instead of spending an entire month celebrating sodomy, a proper and just society who actually cares about its moral preservation and wants to move forward would take an entire month, if they're going to do that at all, to celebrate families, to celebrate the mothers and fathers who are using sex for the actual purposes it was designed for, right? And who are raising the future generations, not just of America, not just of our society, but of humanity itself, right? I mean, if you really want to look at it this way, and yes, I get it, not all straight sex does do this, but straight sex is the only type of sex that actually, A, is necessary for society, and B, furthers society, or at least has the potential to further society in any way. And yet, for some reason, we pretend like both identities are just on separate but equal levels, right? And it is what it is, right? So that's really why I say I don't think Pride Month should be a thing at all. You know, precisely because there is nothing about LGBT sex in any of its forms that is worthy of celebration. That's all there is to it, you know? I don't think there needs to be more that needs to be said. When we are in power, I 100% sincerely propose we get rid of whatever Pride Month is and whatever, like, celebrating like just sodomy and all these forms of sex as a whole month. No, get rid of all of that and replace it with some type of family celebration month, right? Because that's the only thing actually that contributes to society. Again, you know, this isn't even to really specifically attack anyone, YouTube guidelines, okay? All I'm saying is that as a statement of fact, sodomy does not further society. Whatever this is right here does not further society, is not essential to society, does not provide any benefit of society. So why celebrate it? Why celebrate something that is completely, I wouldn't call it inconsequential, because you could argue there's a negative, but still, just in a totally like sociopathic sense, inconsequential to society. It doesn't actually make any sense. And so that's why I say today on Pride Month, it really shouldn't be a thing that should be celebrated or, you know, whatever it is to begin with. And we frankly should go so far as to not even mainstream the delusion that, you know, this type of stuff is normative. And again, we can test that out, right? We can say, okay, well, I don't know, how much of this should I be saying on YouTube? Let me think of the tactical way to say this, okay? Well, but still, in all seriousness, we can put it all to the test by asking that question. There's a simple logical thought exercise if you're ever curious, right? Think about it. You want to determine what is quote-unquote normative and not, because they always complain about heteronormativity. Okay, again, if 100% of society were gay, you're extinct in one generation. If 100% of society were straight, again, you're just fine. So which one there is... I'll use the term more normative, okay? And we'll just leave it at that. Which one there is more normative? Which one do you genuinely think deserves celebration? The one that actually contributes to the world, or the one that doesn't do anything for the world? Just saying. So there it is. Happy Christ month, okay? We're reclaiming the rainbow. It is Christian month. Let's go. All right, with that said, that wraps up our stories tonight. So we will go to super chats now. White boy summer. Yeah, true. So yeah, okay, now we're in our super chat portion of the show tonight. So if you guys got questions or comments that you want read and answered, you want to support the show, the super chats are open both here on YouTube and Streamlabs. It is all greatly appreciated. God bless you guys in advance. And let's see what we got going on here in the chat. Christ month. Well, you know, in defense of that though, it shouldn't be Christ month. It's just Christ year. It's literally we don't need it though. You think about it, we don't need it. Because it is the year of our Lord. It's literally the year of our Lord, 2023. So it's like, oh, we got a month. Well, you know, Christ has a whole year and every single year because it's the year of our Lord, right? So, you know, let's see. Glove D Cop says, because there are fathers and mothers that treat their kids like poop. Yes, that has a lot to do with it. Okay, well, there's still Mother's Day. There's still Father's Day. It's just, the point I'm making is that society views that as less important than LGBT, because we have a whole month to the LGBT and we have one day for mothers, one day for fathers, you know. And that tells you a lot about what society values, and that tells you what a dying society, quite frankly, definitely values. Let's see. Bobby D says they reduced BC before Common Era and AD to Common Era. They always have to downplay Jesus Christ. Yeah, I know about that. I remember that in school when they were first busting that out. They started saying BCE and CE. And it's really funny, too, because it's like, oh, yeah, what started the Common Era, right? What started the Common Era? Oh, the birth of Christ? Really? you know. So we live in AD, bro. We got all the years. Get dunked on, libtard. Literally so true. Literally so true. Okay. Again, guys, questions or comments that you want read and answered via these super chats, it is greatly appreciated. But let's see what else we got going on here. Let me see. I think there was something I wanted to share with the chat. I'm trying to remember. There's something happened today, and I was trying to remember it. I totally forgot. I totally forgot. Let me go on my Twitter and see if it comes to mind. No, I don't think it is. Actually, there's one thing. Okay, I invited that guy. Remember Philip Klein? Remember the guy from last night's show who was writing the National Review article about how actually Cole's doing the baby onesies. There's no problem. That's actually fine. Blah blah blah. I tweeted at him. I invited him to a debate on this show. Let me see if he replied. I don't think he ever replied. Yeah, the guy just ignored me. Philip Klein, you get like no engagement on Twitter. Come on. I know for a fact you saw it. Okay. And he's completely ignoring my call out. Could you imagine that? I would like to debate the one conservative here who thinks that the Coles thing is okay, but I guess not. I guess it's not going to happen. But in all seriousness, I guess we could put out this poll. I want to start getting more guests on the show. As in any guests on the show, we basically never put them on because I'm too lazy. That's really what it's about. It takes too much planning. But I want to start getting some guests on the show. So if you guys got ideas for guests or people you think I should bring on, feel free to, let me know. Let me know what you think. I also want to try to get liberals on the show. I don't exactly know how that would work. Like who we would bring on, Maybe I could ask a bunch of small-time liberal YouTubers, I guess. Or put out a casting call on Twitter. I don't know. If you guys have some cousin who like, hey, you wanna come on the show? We could do that. But I don't know. I have no idea. Bring randos from your college. Well, I'm gonna do that for the podcast for sure. I'm talking about on like this show with like virtual guests because I want virtual guests on this too. Yes, when we start the full-on podcast, which we still need a name for, by the way. Absolutely, obviously, we'll be doing that. Sheeny Beanie says, how are you Asian and simultaneously lazy? Okay, it's a figure of speech, Sheeny Beanie. It's a figure of speech. Because I am disgrace to family. Oh, you're a disgrace from a family. Oh, how dare you? You did not bring guests on show. Should we do Mr. Miyagi super? Well, we need super chats for Mr. Miyagi super chats. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, rest of the night. Do we want to bring in the Mr. Miyagi super chats again? Brian E says just grab the head of UF college Democrats to come on. Well, no, that's the plan. I'm saying for like virtual guests. Like I want to do both. You know what I mean? I want to do both. We'll have our IRL roster for sure, but I also want like people to come on the show to like call into the show. I also want to do that. You've met my cousin Walker. He's a base conservative. Walker's your cousin? What the? Small world. Tell Walker I said hi. That's crazy. Oh, I know John Calvin say I know speak English. Oh. Yes, I do. I disappoint my family, okay? You guys don't get it. Every night we make less than $100 in super chats. I disgrace family, okay? You're like, why does he always say super chat the show? Because literally, like I said, every night we make less than $100. Oh, you disgrace the family. And then I gotta come home and then, get whacked with a spoon. That's a joke, YouTube. That's a joke. And this is what happens 100% of the time. Scuffed Ryan Gosling says, why you no doctor yet? Why I no doctor? Dad, I'm 12. Come back when you doctor. So true. All right, you guys got questions? Let's do Q&A, okay? I always say Q&A and then nobody asks questions. And then I've got to figure out what to fill time with. John Calvin says, Vince, are you a doctor yet? Are you a doctor yet? So true. Everyone just keeps asking the same question. Bean it up. So true. At least you're not the bean. This is true. This is true. At least I don't live in a double wide trailer, right? Podcast name idea. I want to be ninja. We actually do need help coming up with the podcast name. Okay, so I was thinking, all right, chat, since it's like college themed, right? Because we're going to have like college kids on the show. I feel like it needs some type of college kid name, like school related name. You know what I mean? Like we could do locker room talk, but that might be taken. Someone has to have taken that by now, right? So we can't do locker room talk. We need something like that. Like, I don't know, after the, I don't know, the after party? Because there's the pregame show. I don't know. We got to figure out something. The DAO discussion. No, I mean, yeah, we could do that, but I'm thinking it needs like a college related name. Because it needs to be unique, right? So I don't know. What do you guys think? The frat house. That is an idea. That's an idea. But it's, I don't know. But then people are going to be like, oh, well, why are there girls on the show? So I don't know if that will work. The Major of Doubt. That doesn't work. The Kino podcast. We'll call it Bean It Up TV. DVD the Seedorf says, how was the interview with Obama? Well, do you guys want us to bring him in again? We could bring him back on the show. Do you guys want Obama back on the show? Let's do it. Why not? Let's do it. Okay. All right. Hold on. We need to bring Obama back on the show. So I will play the outro and we'll be right back. I'm going to go tell Barack Obama to come on the show, okay? Give me a second. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just in time as well, okay? Please welcome, wait a minute, chat, Barack Obama is so exposed, okay? You know, we've heard for so long, Democrats are the real racists, Democrats this, Democrats that. Chat, I just brought Barack Obama here in the studio. Look at what he... Chat! Whoa! Dinesh D'Souza is so vindicated. What's going on there, Barack? Barack, care to explain? What the heck is on your suit lapel, dude? We knew it. We always knew those Demo KKK rats were up to it. I don't know. Barack Obama has some explaining to do, okay? But if you guys got questions here, but he doesn't know how to sit down. I don't know. He's just falling over here, okay? He's just falling over in the chat. We're going to take this off before YouTube gets us in trouble. I can't fit him in here. That's the problem. It does not work like the outside studio. Okay. All right. All right, Barack, care to explain why you're still in my house? You know, we did the gag on Sunday. It was funny. But, you know, he's just been staying at my house. Don't you have a husband to get back home to? You know? Or a wife, whatever? Don't you have a wife with very broad shoulders that you should be getting back home to in Martha's Vineyard? Barack, care to... Like, you just been... I mean, look, you're welcome to stay here as long as you like. It's like, you know... North Florida, Southern hospitality, I guess you can stay here, I guess. It's not really a bed and breakfast, but still. But, you know, don't you have duties to do? Don't you have some stupid book to be writing, Barack? I don't know. He's just been here. Don't understand. Sheeny Beanie for $2, thank you very much, says Dow 101. Yeah, I guess Vinceology could work. Something like that. Welcome everyone to Vinceology. I guess that could work. Daoology. Daoology. Dude, that comment. Vince Dao podcast name idea, the late night Dao bait show. That's just silly. Alpha moves, that could work. But it needs some type of, it's going to be like a debate podcast primarily. Not entirely, but you know. So it needs something that also demonstrates discussion or debate or conflict too. And alpha moves suggest that it's only going to be like a bunch of dudes talking, which it won't. But, you know. It is what it is. It is what it is. Put Obunga to work. Yeah, no, that's true, Obunga. If you're going to be staying here, you're going to need to either, pay rent or help me out or something. Would you like to produce the show? Should we have Obama be the producer? Okay. I do need some help with that. You know, the stream crashed today for no reason, and there was nothing we could do about it. And I think if you, Obunga, helped me actually produce the show, we wouldn't have this problem. Okay? But I think he's a lazy bastard. I mean, he didn't do anything for 8 years, and I don't think he's going to start now. So, you know. True. True and real and true. Let's see here. Greek Letter Society. I don't know, maybe. Let's see. Obama is my new favorite host. Oh, he's your favorite host then. Fine. Just, why doesn't he host the show then? Why doesn't he host the show? Barack, please hold over the show. My voice hurts. Please just speak to the people. Uh-huh. Go on. Why do you keep shaking, Barack? Are you having a seizure? I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know what's going on. All right, Barack, listen. This was funny. You're going to need to get out of here, okay? And get out of my house while you're at it. Freaking just staying here. He keeps making these reptile noises, too. It just sounds like District 9. And from what I've seen, he started growing this reptile hand. I don't even know what's going on there, okay? His skin is peeling. And there's something in the back. It sounds like machines. It sounds like, computers. I hear, like, aliens calling in. So, Vince, tell Obama Dow to send his drones and collect all the lefties so they can join the Galaxy Brain panel. Yeah, so true. Mr. EZ sends a members chat. Thank you very much. Says, call it convinced. But then they're just going to say I'm a con. Like I'm a con artist. That's the problem. I don't know. I got to think about this. The Obama podcast. I guess we could do that. Joe Obama. That is an idea. Joe Obama. Not for a podcast, but it is funny. I feel like we need to get more cutouts, okay? You're probably wondering why we have a Barack Obama cutout to begin with. It's because I don't remember. My roommate had a party one time, and it was like a gag joke or something, and he's just been sitting there like he just exists in the apartment. And I guess I've just adopted him as a character on the show. But I feel like everyone is sus. They're like, why does he have an Obama cutout? I feel like we need a Trump cutout or something, or Washington, or whatever it is. No idea. We got to figure out something though. It's all Jover. It is. It is very Jover. It's never been more Jover than it is right now. But okay, let's see. Do we have any questions in the chat? He did drone strike a bunch of kids. Whoa, that's a conspiracy theory. This guy got charisma. Real. Have Obama read a super chat. Well, you guys have to send super chats for Obama to read them. You guys have been very frugal tonight, but you want Obama to read the super chats. How's that supposed to work? That can't work. Any progress on the podcast set? Yes, we do have we bought our last cameras today, okay? So it's basically done. Now, I am thinking, you guys remember that wall? I am thinking the one thing we might need more is, like, something to go on the wall, right? Because it won't just be a white wall. So I'm thinking either wood, We could get wood, like Joe Rogan style. Or we could get like a wallpaper that's a backdrop of Miami or something. I feel like that might also be cool. But I'm trying to decide. I don't know which one. But it's basically, by like tomorrow, it should be functionally ready. It should be functionally ready. Because the cameras I needed came today. I did not appreciate it that it took freaking... I had to buy more cameras. That was not fun. But it is here. It is here. But all right, let's see here. All right, let me see. Let me check Streamlabs. But yeah, it's almost done. It's almost done. The cameras were not nice though. It just. But it will be good though, because you know how many freaking podcasts I've seen where they have a camera that doesn't actually have HDMI technology. And I was watching this podcast today, and you know that white square, that white box I was joking about, because it's like when the camera, when you don't adapt it, it's on there. I was watching this podcast today, fairly professional podcast, and the freaking white square is just on the whole time. I'm like, what are you guys doing? So, but yeah, we spent like $1,000 so that way you don't see a stupid white box. I can't believe people allow that to happen. But yeah, cameras are here. And, it's ready. It's almost ready. It's almost good to go. All right. I would suggest overhead lighting on the podcast set. No shadows. I tried that. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I don't know. I don't know. It is what it is. I prefer a curtain background over the wood background. Well, we already have the curtain on one side, but I'm probably not going to do curtains on both sides. Did you see it already, Mr. E? It was on the Sunday night stream. Have you seen it? The guests are going to have curtains, right? We already established that. The guest side's going to have the curtains. I'm talking about what should be behind my side. I'm not going to do like 2 curtains. So, again, I'm thinking either wood or a big wallpaper of like Miami at night. Those are our 2 options right now. I'm not sure which one would actually look better. It's a debate. It's a raging debate. I have no idea. Vince, what do you think about Dow University? That could work, but it's kind of basic. Although maybe something like the University show could work. I don't know. We got to think about it. We got to figure out what we're going to do. Like, what's something preppy? What's something like Greek lifey? I don't know. I have to think about it. All right, we're ending the stream here at 9:10. So any last call for super chats or funny ideas for the names? We'll end here in 5 minutes. Get a cross neon sign to own the libs. I mean, we already have one right there. The problem is the lighting. For some reason, the lighting on the capture card just like makes it so bright you can't even see it, but it actually is there. Call it Elementary. The Rush. I'm not feeling any of these names, chat. I'm gonna be honest. I've not heard a single name tonight where I'm particularly excited about. The Rush, I guess I see what you're saying. Like when you rush a sorority, you rush a fraternity. But I don't know. It doesn't really ring. You know what I mean? It's just not there. There's just still something missing. I don't know. The Galaxy Brain Panel, I guess. You should do a galaxy background instead of Miami. Yes, that would be quite funny. However, it would just look weird. Oh, look at me. I'm in space. Space is cringe, okay? Only nerds like space. Oh, wow, look at the nebula. Freaking Neil deGrasse Tyson. By the way, Neil deGrasse Tyson is like one of the biggest douchebags, frankly, on the planet. The guy is not actually intelligent. The guy... Actually, if you look at his record, is a fairly underaccomplished scientist, but because he has like a nice voice. He's like a chill black guy with a nice voice. He's presented as like the genius of science, and he's actually not. He's actually, if you look at his record, he is not an accomplished physicist at all. He's just a random guy they have do the voiceovers. But everyone acts like, oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson read off of a script. He's so smart. So true. All right, I've got no more super chats. Then I'm going to end the stream tonight. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. Be sure to leave a like before you go. Let's get to 100 likes before we go. And all right, guys, with that said, see you guys later. Appreciate it. Alpha moves only. God bless. Everyone have a very good night and peace.